ASP.NET Core Blazor uses the bind Blazor directive attribute to provide robust and flexible data binding between UI elements and C# fields, properties, or expressions. It supports both one-way and two-way data binding. Hello everyone and welcome to another video on the ASP.NET Core Blazor for beginners. I'm Narendra Kumar Sharma, a Microsoft certified .NET trainer. In this video, we are going to look at Blazor data binding feature in Blazor apps. It is very common that you want to be able to get the value from web UI elements like input and handle those values in your code. And then you also want to update those values from inputs from your code. Blazor provides an easy and convenient way to do that with data binding feature. Let's take a look. Declare a string type field text and set it to some value. Private string text. Welcome to Blazor. Show it in P element. Use @sign to display the value of text here. Start the app and go to the browser. Here P element is showing the value of text field. This is one-way binding. One-way data binding occurs when data flows in one direction. Data flows from the C# code to the UI. The UI automatically updates when the C# field value changes. This is useful to display data in the UI. Use input element to accept input. Input element. Set input element's value attribute to the value of text. Set onChange to onChange. Generate event handler. In this event handler, set text field to args.value. Cast it to string. Start the app and go to the browser. When the component is rendered, the value of the input element comes from the text field, which is welcome to Blazor. When we enter value in the text box and change the element's focus, the onChange event is fired and the text field is set to the changed value. Change the focus. So the text field is getting updated when the input element is losing focus. To use the binding feature, use @bind Blazor directive attribute and bind it to the text field. Remove this and set bind attribute to text. Now remove this method. Let's see what happens. Initially, the text box is showing the value of text field. Change value in the text box and change the focus. When the input element is losing focus, its bound field or the property is updated. Since components render themselves after event handler code executes and field and properties updates are usually reflected in the UI immediately after an event handler is triggered, the default event is onChange. So in this case, the changes in the UI update the C# field and changes in the C# field update the UI. So this is a two-way data binding. To bind the text field to the input element's value when the element's onInput event is triggered, use @bind event, set it to On input, save the changes, go to the browser. Now the text field gets updated as we change the text box value, because an event is set to on input. If you want to implement search like functionality where you want to be able to execute asynchronous logic after a binding, you can use add bind after. Declare private string nullable type search text and private string nullable type search result. Set bind attribute to search text and set at bind after to a handler name, a method name, search. Now define method here. Async task search, set search result to random dot shared dot next dot to string results were found. In p element, display value of search result. Now restart the app and go to the browser. Now enter input in text box. Now the p element is showing this result which we are creating here. Components support two-way data binding by defining a pair of add bind attributes with either a get or set modifier. The get set modifiers are always used together. For binding to HTML elements, use get set modifiers to ensure an input element stays synchronized with a bound value even when the value is modified in the handler. Now declare private string type text and initially set it to string dot empty. Define a method private void function name set string type value, set text to value, now set at bind get modifier to text and set at bind set modifier to set. In p element, show value of text. Save the changes. Go to the browser. Enter some text. Change the focus. And now P element is showing the value of text box. Now we are using get and set modifiers here in this case. If you want to implement asynchronous scenario, now use task and change name to set async, return task dot completed task. Change name here async, set async. Save the changes. Go to the browser. Enter some text. Change the focus, and now P element is showing the value of text box. If you are capturing date time type input and want to show the input in a specific format, so data binding works with a single date time format using @bind format. Now declare date time type field, date time type start date, and set it to new 2026 1 first month first day. Now display set bind to start date. Now this input element is bound to the start date. Save the changes. Go to the browser. Now text box is showing a value in the default format. To show this value in specific format, use @bind format. Here use @bind format. Set it to YYYY month and day. Save the changes, and now text box is showing this date in specified format. So that is how we can use data binding in Blazor. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.